What's up, on my power ass crew? Guess what? Broke my winch line. But I was doing something dumb, okay? It wasn't because of a straight line pull or anything like that. So I'll explain. But I did patch it back together so I could finish the job. Let's go. Okay, full confession. I kind of knew I was destroying the rope whenever I was doing this, and I'll explain what I was doing in a little bit. But check this out. Yeah. Now you feel the rope, it's just like rigid, hard as it can be. And when it broke, I can get right here and feel where the fibers were starting to melt that the rope got so hot. Like right there, you see where it frayed out, but right there, the fibers are stuck together because it got so hot, the fibers fused together. So yeah, that rope got really hot. And as you see right here, yep. So obviously the rope was getting really hot. But there's more. And like I said, I knew I was doing this, but I also knew this rope was sacrificing itself to save my back. I'll explain. So as I was cranking down on the winch and it was grunting, doing its thing, it's being dragged across this right here. This is 3/16 plate, this whole front right here. I built this years ago. And there is right here is a piece of angle iron back in behind that. That is feels like 3/16 or so. So you see there was enough pressure on the bottom of this from the rope going under here, pulling, that it bent that up into that light right there. I mean, it's actually got the light squished here and there. So I'm actually surprised. No, it's still moving a little bit. I thought for a second and then I had it jammed up in there, but it's still moving. So here's what I was doing. I was taking the winch rope, going under the Jeep, under the axle, going all the way back, blah, 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 coming out the back. But I had my trailer hooked to here. And so here's the trailer. So Jeep sitting right here, imagine it, rope coming under the Jeep, coming up over the rails of the trailer. Now I'm gonna go back here and show you the rest of it. And like I said, I knew I was sacrificing this rope, but I was trying to save myself time and definitely trying to save my back from moving all this heavy crap around. So I had a tree go down, okay? Most of this is already picked up because the rope survived that long. Here's the rope. Where's the end of it? Here it is. And here's the end of the rope. And as you can see, the rope got hot, frayed out, abrasion, all kinds of just brutal torture I was putting it through. And it said, doing, it popped. So what exactly was I trying to pull up on the trailer? That right there. Now you can see right here, I've actually pulled a lot up on that trailer and I've already hauled it all off. I still got this piece left. Why? Because the rope broke. So as you can see, I've got the rope wrapped around it and I would crank down the winch and the trailer was sitting like right along in here. Well, you can still see my tire tracks right there and down there's where the Jeep was parked. So taking the cable or rope, getting to the back of the trailer, then when I'd hit that remote, push up on it and it would pull it up on the trailer. Not a big deal. Yeah, it didn't lock this piece right here at all. And finally the rope had enough. Boing! As soon as it popped, I knew exactly what happened. I was like, well, crap. But granted, it pulled a lot of wood up on that trailer before it finally popped. And like I said, I knew I was sacrificing that rope. But hey, I've been fighting a back issue for about a month now, and that was actually saving me a lot of pain. So the price of a rope, well worth it. So today, we're gonna splice this rascal back together. Now before any of you jump on your high horse, giving me the runaround, grilling me, you should never use that rope for recovery. No, terrible, bad. You're right, I'm not going to, chill out. My goal for repairing this rope is to get it back together, get those last few pieces of wood up on my trailer, then I'm gonna put new rope on it. I would never, ever consider using that rope in any type of recovery situation, okay? So chill out. So now what we gotta do is figure out how far back is that rope burnt. And I really need to grease my winch again, so I'm not gonna torture you guys listening to that thing to squealing. Yeah, that's just really loud. I mean, look at the drum. Set the, try to see if it's the paint on the drum or melted rope. It's the paint on the drum. So yeah, cause it's flaking off right there. See, the drum got hot. Bummer. After I get that tree all loaded up, there might be a winch rebuild video coming up when I replace the rope. Simply because back in behind the drum where all that rides inside there is some, most winches, I haven't looked at this one yet obviously, there is like a plastic bushing back there that this drum rides on. So very good possibility it got hot, and plus all the pressure on it, it may have crushed that bushing inside there that this whole thing rides on. So I don't know, this winch may end up on my trailer. Diagnosis not good. You want to know how much this winch rope is actually bad? Check this out. Fraying starts right there, and as it continues on through that, which is the end you hook that onto, all that's in pretty good shape. Right there, it starts getting frayed, it starts getting really hard and rigid where it got hot. All of that off the drum right there, all of it is technically bad. Now something else some of you are going to jump on your high horse about is, Chuck, you could have used that abrasion sleeve right there and you could have saved that. No, honestly, no, it wouldn't have. Could that have helped like going around a tree or possibly a little bit of time on a rock or something? Yeah, it definitely could have. But what I was doing, I was abusing this rope so bad. You see how blackened and flattened out that rope is, it got so hot. So right there, I mean, you got the paint hot coming off of it right there. So even putting the abrasion sleeve across that right there, it would have generated enough heat that it would have melted the sleeve and still gotten into that right there. So yeah. But did the rope serve its purpose for what I wanted at the time? Yes, it absolutely did. It saved my back a heck of a lot of work, and to sacrifice a rope for all that, I'm good with that. Something else you guys can blast me on, though, Chuck, you could have saved that rope. It didn't have to go through all that. And somewhat pretty much you're right. I could have actually done a better job with that. Because sitting right beside, which I didn't show you guys when I was back there, is my Bronco. I could have used the bumper off of it to do a redirect, using pulley blocks and stuff like that. And then the snatch blocks would have taken all the friction and the winch rope wouldn't have had to go through all that. Again, I just wanted to get crap done because I've been working a ton of hours trying to keep YouTube up and going. I'm out of time. So you know what? I sacrificed the rope. You guys can cry and whine all you want to in the comments. It is what it is. But I'm still going to splice that together. I want to use it to finish this job. I want to redesign that bumper, so when I pull the bumper off, I'm going to go ahead and pull the winch apart, check all the bushings inside of it, see what's going on with all that noise, and maybe rebuild it if I can. If not, that winch is going to go on this trailer and I'll be in the market for another winch. Now on Rust Bucket, I've got a Warren A274 going on it. So anyway, let's splice this rope together. So first of all, get you some electrical tape and get way past all this fraying right here and tape up your rope nice and tight. Because now what we're going to do, we're going to cut right there and right there, so we got a nice clean cut to work with. I see it coming now. There's going to be some people out there not listening to the context of this video, and they're going to blast me in the comments for, you should not be using that rope. That is so dangerous. People, I'm going to replace the rope. I've just said it earlier in the video. I'm going to say it again because there's going to be someone who's not going to listen. This rope's already trashed. I'm going to finish the job with a trash rope, okay? So it's the last time I'm going to talk about that. No blasting. No. Chill with the negativity, people. Cool? Now I just hope this junk nice, sharp enough to cut this. Get my fingers out of the way.
A few minutes later.
Yay! Now see, with the tape, it makes this, all the fibers, a nice compact rope, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. And it keeps everything on nice, neat, and even. And, well, yeah, use the tape. Makes life easier. This part, trash. Well, technically the whole rope is, but yeah. This one will be easy. This one will be easy. Huh, should have done it the first time. Now that we have the ends cut clean, we need to figure out how much we need to bury the tail. Now there's kind of a magic number out there that's like 72 times the diameter. This is 1/2 inch rope, so 72 times a half, it would be 36 inches. So that being said, you need to bury the tail 36 inches deep into this rope. Which will be right there, and that's going to be a lot of threading. Take your Sharpie and mark it. That ain't going to be no fun. It'll be alright. So what we're going to have to do, this is going to go through that, then come back through this, Then we'll feed it 36 inches down this way. So what we gotta do, there's your 36-inch mark, fold it baby in half. Go right there, right there. 36 it is, mark the other one. Take the ropes. Right there's my first 36-inch mark. Right there. And there's my second one. Now we need to taper our ends. We're going to take this tape off. We're going to alternate some pieces out of this and cut it from full width down to a single strand. Kind of like this. We go from full width, and as it comes down, took out some strands down to a single strand. Basically what it boils down to is that your rope here acts like Chinese finger cups. We're going to feed this diameter of rope inside this here in a bit, and whenever it pulls really hard under load, it squeezes down on the diameter of this rope. So when you bring that taper down like that, it makes an even transition of pressure amongst the rope. Versus if you got just a 90-degree cutoff like on the inside, that becomes your weakest link right here, where the outer sheath of this comes down and drops down. That becomes your weaker link right there. So you need to take your major diameter, bring it down to one strand to make it as strong as possible. And again, some people do this on the last part of the step, some people do it at the beginning, just whatever makes you feel froggy, I guess. It also depends on what you're using to feed your rope through, and I'll show you that here in a moment. So I'm going to loosen up my fibers where they've been all crushed and crumpled, and I'm going to take about 8 inches of it back. So we're going to go about right here, right there. So I'm going to start like right here, and let's see. So I'm going to pull this. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, I got to do it. Tell this rope has been hot because it don't want to slide amongst each other. There it goes. Got that one out. Flip it over here, and we'll go with just alternating them. Then we'll come back over here and we'll pull this one. Again, no exact science. Your goal is just to, again, from the overall diameter down to one strand. Some people say you got to count the strands. If you got 12 of these braided together, you alternate every 3, I think it is, or something like that. How many we got here? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. For kicks and giggles, let's do that one and that one, and we'll take this last few right here. And notice how my 2x4 is oriented. The grains running like this. Take a sharp blade, which I don't have. This is about the sharpest thing I got around here right now because all my good stuff happens to be at work. Imagine that. But if you take the grains, notice how the knife blade's been digging in right here. Take and alternate your take your strands, run it that way with the blade running along the grain of the wood. Once it gets through, it starts making life a lot easier, because then the blade starts sinking into the wood and cutting all the way through. And I'm going to taper that just a little bit more. I don't like that. Tape that one out. And that one out. Oh, mosquito just bit me on my bald head. Now we need to take all these out flush with the rope. Now, a good sharp razor knife will be best, but all my razor knives end up at work for some strange reason. Come on down, take this one. This one. And then we got our taper. Sweet. Now to thread a rope together, I'm just using a piece of steel dowel rod. Just right there. This is 5/16 by 36 inches. You can pick this up at any of your hardware stores. You can use 1/4 inch, whatever it is you got laying around. The trick is grind this right here to a taper, to like a little point, but make sure that's as smooth as possible. No burrs, nothing like this, so there it doesn't grab on any of your strands. I achieved that by using that outer part right here, because it's totally wore out. It's into the fiber of the disc. So as you're going around that, it kind of acts like a polishing wheel. It gives you a nice smooth taper. Now this is where if you use one of those fancy fids that like Factor 55 sells or something like that, you'd leave this all together and do your taper last. And you still could have, don't get me wrong. So now I'm going to take my tape and wrap all the way down through here and tape this into that to feed it all through. And fold that back over just to make life a little easier. There we go. That's how we're going to thread it through. So now this is the working end. This is the winch end, okay? So now we need to find our mark. Right there's our first 36 inch mark. Right here. Just fluff it up a little bit. And go between. When you go through, you're going to have equal strands on both sides, okay? Push that on through. And right here is your other 36 inch mark. Stop right there. So now we got our two 36 inch mark here. This is the one to the winch. This is the one to your working end. to your hook, your snatch blocks, whatever you're running it to. So now your fit again, you've got 2 strands here, split them like that and pull it through. And work your rope. Well, this right here has got that flat area where it got hot. I'm working it so it will be flat against each other like that. So now taking where this come out, flip her up again, 1, 2, and get inside here and start feeding it this way. Now at this point you're going to take your rope and bunch it up like that and feed your feed, in this case steel rod, through there. And it's a lot easier on good rope. Fluff this stuff up ahead of time. Okay, I'm not going to bore you guys to death, but basically what I'm doing, I'm going to feed this through the middle of this rope right here. So you got to bunch it up, and you see the tip of it right there. You don't want it to come out anywhere. You want to keep it between all these strands. So when I get to the end of that run for the 36-inch mark, where'd it go? Yeah, there it is. When I get right there at that, I'll be right back with you. Now if I'd cut this rod a little bit longer, it would have been a bit easier, but since I didn't, I'm having to feed some of it back on the rope here. And I've got right there to go. Kind of takes me back to my childhood days whenever I'd be wearing my hoodies and my mom taking a pencil or a pen and feeding the drawstring back through the hood, or even my sweatpants and stuff. And again, if you got a lot longer rod cut, that's about a lot easier. Then we take our fit off. Don't need that tape in there. And from there, you can take and work this like that to milk all this down until the tail disappears. So you can see I've got a little bit more work to milk this down to make that tail disappear. So I'll be back in just a little bit. Then once you get through milking it down, the tail just disappears. Ta-da! Now it's all captured inside there right there. And just like I said, milking it, right here's where they feed through each other. You grab hold of it right there, keep from in that sliding, and just keep pulling. Hold here, don't let this slide. This hand, pull and let it slide. It pushes the outer diameter of the jacket back down over top of the rope you fed on the inside. So now let's do the other side. Now there's the short piece of dowel that I used just a moment ago. Here's the long piece, and you can see right here I took it back there and tapered down that end. You don't have to have a nice point or nothing like that. Your main goal is to have this right here smooth so it slides through the rope very easily. This longer section should be a lot easier feeding it through that 36-inch piece I got to feed through. So now your rope here feeds in that way. This is now tied onto this. So now we're going to take, fluff up your rope a little bit. I keep saying fluff, it's fluff. Get in between the fibers. You want on each side, you want each one of your strands even on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 on each side, yeah. So you, right there, feed that through and fluff it up a little more so it pulls through easier. Pull it, and right there, now we got that flat section where everything's got to lock together. Now if it was to move, these two right here where they crossed over, they will slide in together with each other and they would interlock to where it's not going to come apart. Because you see here and here, they ain't going nowhere. It is there. So now, again, fluff up your rope a little bit. I gotta say it a little slower. Fluff up your rope a little bit. And we're gonna go count 2. Now if the tip of this had a little bit more taper to it, it would be a little bit easier there. Pull through. And where this rope is flattened out, I want to make sure it's laying flat against this one. So pull, finesse it a little bit. There we go. Now we got to feed this through the middle of this to create that Chinese finger cuff effect. So again, count you about 2 more strands, fluff up your strands a little bit. 1, 2, get in there. Come on. This ain't working for me. It's like I'm having to pay attention to the camera and do this at the same time. I'm all confused. Get in there. You people have no idea how hard this is sometimes trying to make sure the camera gets the shot and do the job at the same time. Alright, try this a little bit different. Two strands, pull that, pull that. If it had a little bit more taper on the end of this, it'd be better. So now I'm getting to the core of the rope. Core meaning in the middle of it all. There we go. Now we're good. Now I just got to feed that all the way through until we find, we'll feed it till we find that mark right there. And we'll go past it, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches, whatever we can get into before we take the rod off. Oh yeah, this longer rod is going to make it so much easier. I mean, it's feeding so much faster and easier. Bruh, that is the magic trick right there. Just go to a hardware store, Lowe's, Tractor Supply, get you a piece of I would probably, that's 5/16. I'd probably use 1/4 inch, especially on some of your smaller rope, because dude, that has been easy. It's feeding right down the middle of that like it's actually like a snake crawling through a hole. Fluff it up a little bit. Nope, you don't want to do that. Pull back out of there. Pull back out of there. Get back in the core. In the middle of it, there we go. See if you take and packing it down like it right there, it's keeping it expanded and it slides through easier. Expand that right there. Dude, that longer steel rod makes that so much easier. Where's my mark at? Right there. I'm marking on the other side so I can see it. I marked it on the top side so I can see it as I'm feeding. Right here, the end of the rod is at that mark. We want to go past that mark. And being that this is compressing so well on this steel rod, I'm going to go a good bit past it and see what I can get away with. Because the deeper you can bury that tail, the better off you are. So right there's my last mark. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it out right there. Look how well that compressed on that steel rod. Dude, that is so much easier. Now, pull that through. Get it past that tape. Because once you get the rope inside of it, it should slide a lot easier now. Because what we're going to end up having to do once we get all that pulled through, we got to pull that loop out. It cannot be there. Okay, there we go. Our tail is through right there. Leave that compressed. Your loop, pull it through. what I'm doing, like this right here, I'm pulling the heck out of it to make sure that that gets buried down inside there like that. So now we got that tail to work with. Okay? Take the tape off and pull the rest of your tape off. And there's your taper you created a little while ago. Now you've got all this snake belly right here. Take and milk it downward. Hold your rope right here where you've already got this right here done. Hold it from up there and just push or pull or whatever. What you're doing, you're pushing all this back together, squeezing it down on that rope on the inside. And look at that, tail's disappearing. Let me change the camera view so if I can let you guys see that. Up here on this end, I'm holding here and sliding through my hand like that, okay? And position it so you guys can watch that tail. There's your tail. And again, like this right here. You see that tail's getting pulled up inside there. And there he goes. Tail's gone. And as you can tell, you got the major diameter of the rope here, but as you go through here, I can feel it right there starts to taper. And then it goes down to the original diameter. So that's your taper of where you cut that tail in right there. Now what are you supposed to say? That ain't going nowhere. And now all I have to do is run all that back up on the winch. Yep, not a big deal. And just for the fun of it, when this part gets up on the drum, I'll show you what it looks like. And so right there, the thick part is pulling up onto the drum now. I mean, it's gonna stack okay. But like I said, this rope is just nothing for abuse like we're doing, what I'm doing now. So I'll never use it for recovery. When I'm done with this daggone tree, I'm putting the new rope on. Yes. I've got about another 20 feet of rope left to go on, but you see right there, that thick area is where we patched it up. Watch my control box. The rope's hitting, pushing the control box up. It'll be all right for the moment. All patched up and ready to go pull another chunk of tree. Oh, this thing right here is what you call a bump switch. That's wired to my control box on the inside. And I can simply rocket forward or backwards to run the winch, so I don't need the wireless remote. Well, of course I've got the video on how I installed a bump switch. Oh, wait a minute. I think I remember a comment a long time ago when I demonstrated that bump switch. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You're going to be going through the woods and you're going to hit a stick and it's going to cause your winch to activate. Don't you think I didn't think about that? Come here. Right there is how I turn my winch on and off. Right there, winch is off. Right there, winch is on. Winch is back off. Did I just hear somebody say that little old switch just cannot handle the amperage of that winch? You are correct, but this can. Look right down right there. Continuous duty solenoid that runs my winch. Whenever I hit that button under my dash, it activates that solenoid, which makes a connection from the winch to the battery cables. So that's how I control my winch, turning it on and off. Therefore, deactivating the bump switch. See? It's all good. You know, that was a pretty ding bright idea. Oh, there. Oh, well, my ideas just keep going in and out, don't they? ADHD thing. Okay, not that it matters a whole lot now, but I'm going to use the abrasion sleeve this time. Should have done it a long time ago maybe. The thing of it is, I'll be running back and forth so much. Now, sacrifice the rope. So, it goes under the Jeep. You can see it right there. Under the Jeep. Over the trailer. And we're going to pull that up on that. Wireless remote. So there you go. That's how I broke my rope. Now there was a lot of tree, big old trunks. That's the biggest of them, but the next ones that I dragged up on there wasn't much smaller than that. Then of course, you know, your smaller limbs that came off of it. Yeah, it was a job, and like I said, saved my back a lot of work. So therefore, I could sacrifice a winch rope to save my back. Peace. Later, y'all.